Hello everyone, welcome to the online class Energy Conversion Engineering week 10. As you all know, we entered into the online lecture of 10th week. So far we discussed about many topics related to energy conversion engineering. This is our 10th week. In this class we are going to discuss about cyclic voltammetry as a testing tool. I'm Dr. Babu. Welcome to the online class 10th week. Let's start our today's class. These are the topics for our class of total 15 classes. Now we are in 10th week. So far we have discussed the 9 topics from energy resources which are available in environment, energy conversion methods, energy storage technologies, and then introduction to supercapacitors, properties of supercapacitors, and then we discussed about preparation of electrode materials for supercapacitors. And in the last week we discussed about one of the investigation technique, that is EIS, electrochemical impedance spectroscopy, and that is very useful to find out the solution resistance and also the mechanisms or the chemical reactions what is happening while we are testing the supercapacitor. So the EAS can be applied to many electrochemical studies, and it is one of the useful technique to apply for the supercapacitors. So so far we discussed all these topics, and this week we are going to discuss about cyclic voltammetry. We simply it can be called as CV, cyclic voltammetry. Before we define cyclic voltammetry, we need to know what is voltammetry. Okay, before going to discuss about cyclic voltammetry, we need to know what is voltammetry. For our purposes, voltammetry is an experiment where we expose a solution of an analyte to an electrode. Voltammetry is an experiment where we expose a solution of an analyte to an electrode, change the electrode potential, and observe the current that flows in response. Simply, voltammetry means we are exposing an analyte or a solution to the electrode. What will we do here? We change the electrode potential or voltage. So whenever we change the potential of the electrode, then we will observe a current which flows with respect to the applied potential. So voltammetry is an experiment where we expose a solution of analyte to the electrode. Then here we make a circuit out of solution containing a molecule that we are interested in studying. So we are taking a solution which we want to study, and then we apply this solution we'll take this solution and we'll change the electrode potential. Here you can see in the figure, you can see two electrodes, counter electrode and working electrode. So we make a circuit out of a solution containing a molecule that we are interested in studying. Change the voltage of one of the electrodes and we can see what voltage is required to transfer electrons between the electrode and our analyte solution. So simply here we are studying the current flow, how the current will flow, in which direction current flows when we apply external electrode potential. So electric flow cannot be made at every potential that we apply externally. At some electrode potential only the electric flow can be observed from electrode to analyte or analyte to electrode. So incorporating our analyte into a circuit is as easy as dipping two electrodes into our analyte solution. These two electrodes are connected to a potentiostat, which is an instrument that controls the voltage of each electrode. So here an instrument called potentiostat, which can apply or which can change the electrode potential so that we can observe electric flow in the circuit. So simply voltammetry is a sensitive analytic technique that informs us about the thermodynamics and kinetics of electron transfer for a given analyte. So simply we can know the thermodynamics and kinetics of electron transfer in our analyte or in our solution which we want to study. So right, so this is the voltammetry. Then how can we define cyclic voltammetry? Cyclic voltammetry is a powerful and popular electrochemical technique commonly employed to investigate the reduction and oxidation processes of molecular species. I'm repeating, cyclic voltammetry is a powerful and popular electrochemical technique commonly used to investigate the reduction and oxidation process of molecular species which are available in analyte. CV is also invaluable to study electron transfer initiated chemical reactions, which includes many applications. So simply cyclic voltammetry gives the oxidation and reduction properties or characteristics of the analyte solution. Here you can see CV graph. It looks like a bird or sorry, it looks like a duck. On x-axis we will take potential that we are going to vary by using an instrument called potentiostat, and the corresponding current will be measured on y-axis. If we were to only sweep, that means change in electrode potential, in one direction, the experiment would be referred to as a linear sweep voltammogram. That means if you give instruction to the potentiostat to change the electrode potential only in one direction in a specified potential window, then the corresponding graph can be called as LSV, linear sweep voltammogram, LSV simply. In case if you give instruction to the potentiostat to change the electrode potential in both directions, that means, for example, if it is 0 to 1, if you give only direction to 0 to 1, that is linear sweep voltammogram. That means you are giving instruction to only one direction. In case if you give the instruction to come back to the initial potential where you start the experiment, that means you are giving instruction to back and forth, then this is called cyclic voltammetry. Cyclic, that means you are doing a complete cycle. Cyclic voltammetry. We refer to the range of potentials that are accessed while collecting a cyclic voltammogram as the potential window. That means you can select a different potential windows. It depends on the material which you consider to prepare. It depends on many factors. It depends on analyte, it depends on the working electrode material, like that. So simply here you can remind that if you give change in potential of electrode only in one direction, that is called LSV, simply linear sweep voltammogram. If you give instruction to repeat the back, that means to complete the cycle, then it is called cyclic voltammogram, or simply we can call this study as cyclic voltammetry. So usually the cyclic voltammogram, or simply CV, of any study or of ideal study looks like a duck shaped graph. Here in this slide you can see that. In chemistry, we should be comfortable with thinking about the change in the potential energy of a molecule. Here, if we want to understand about the cyclic voltammetry, we need to know about the potential energy of a molecule during molecular transformations. So, whenever we change the electrode potential, there is a change in the current, that means electric flow. So, to understand that, we need to know about the potential energy of a molecule. That means how the potential energy of a molecule with respect to the change in potential. We should also have no problem comprehending that a given molecule has a different potential energy than an identical molecule to which one electron has been added. Most electron transfers can be understood by thinking about the potential energies of the analyte and the electrons in the electrode. So in the entire mechanism of cyclic voltammetry, one thing we need to understand that when we change the electrode potential by the instrument potentiostat, so there is a change in the electron flow from analyte to electrode or electrode to analyte, it depends on the potential energy of a molecule. Usually, electron transfers from high energy to low energy. So here, whenever we change the electrode potential, there is a chance for the electron to move or to transfer from electrode to analyte or analyte to electrode. So most electron transfers can be understood by thinking about the potential energies of the analyte and the electrons in the electrode. Here you can see the electron transfer from electrode to analyte and also the transfer of analyte from analyte to electrode. So when it will happen, let's see this. If our analyte is redox active, that means if the analyte can be happen in oxidation and reduction process, it will exchange an electron with an electrode when it reaches certain potential. I already mentioned for every change of electrode potential, there would not be electron transfer from electrode to analyte. Similarly, from analyte to electrode, we should apply an appropriate electrode potential. So then only oxidation and reduction can happening in the electrode cell. Our redox active analyte will undergo reduction, that means accept an electron from the electrode. Listen carefully. Whenever analyte will undergo reduction, that means it accept an electron from the electrode. Why this is happening? Here if you see the potential energy of electron in the electrode is higher than the potential energy of the empty molecular orbital on the analyte. Here you need to compare the energy of electron in the electrode and also you can the energy of the molecular orbital in the analyte. So here electron having more potential energy, high potential energy in the electrode, so it gives an electron to the analyte. So this is called reduction of analyte. So whenever analyte will undergo reduction, that means when analyte will have reduction process, that means when it will accept an electron from the electrode, the condition is when the potential energy of the electrons in the electrode is higher than the potential energy of the empty molecular orbital on the analyte. So it is energetically favorable for an electron to transfer from the electrode to the analyte. So because of the high energy of electron in the electrode, it will transfer, that means the electron can transfer from electrode to analyte. This is reduction of analyte. Conversely, if you observe the other figure, that is oxidation of analyte. Oxidation of analyte means here the energy of electron in the electrode have less energy than the analyte molecular orbital. So the electrode receives electron or the analyte will lose electron, because when the highest energy electron in the molecule is at a higher potential energy than the electrons in the electrode, and it becomes energetically favorable for it to transfer from the molecule to the electrode. If you observed in both these cases, electrons are transferred in order to minimize the potential energy of the total system. Why these electrons are transferring from electrode to analyte or analyte to electrode is the only reason is to maintain the minimum potential energy, to minimize the potential energy of the total system. We can use the potentiostat to change the electrode potential and observe where we see current flowing in order to learn about the electron transfer energetics of our analyte. So by changing the electrode potential by using potentiostat, we can know or we can see the flow of electrons or the direction of current in order to learn about the electron transfer energetics of the analyte. In addition to studying the energetic landscape of analyte, we can get a sense for the stability of the molecule that results from an electron transfer between the electrode and the analyte by cycling the potential at different rates. That means these are the underlying concepts that are responsible for the appearance of cyclic voltammetry. We need to know about the potentiostat. We already mentioned in our previous slides that potentiostat is an instrument used to change the electrode potential. Let's learn some few more points regarding the potentiostat. The potentiostat is what controls the electrode potential during a cyclic voltammetry. The potentiostat can also perform a wide variety of other tasks that might interest in different applications. Potentiostat can not only be used in for supercapacitors. For different applications of electrochemistry, this instrument, that is potentiostat, can be used for different applications, from battery research, supercapacitor research, and photoelectrochemical processes, catalysis. In many fields, this instrument can be used. But cyclic voltammetry is extremely useful and used to obtain the information as other techniques with less effort. Nowadays, the modern potentiostats are controlled by computer software, and it is important to become familiar with the software that is specified to our potentiostat. We need to understand the software which we are using in that potentiostat to obtain the information. So we should have good experience with the instrument. The leads of the potentiostat, that means the wires that are connected to the potentiostat, and these wires are connected to the electrodes to our electrochemical cell. We need to know the proper connections of the potentiostat. The leads are usually color coded for the type of electrode and that are mean to connect with. It is important to connect each electrode to the correct lead, because usually we are using a potentiostat with 3 electrode system. That means you can have 3 leads, 3 wires. So every wire or every lead is a specified meaning. That means we should connect that particular wire to a particular electrode. That means one wire is designated for to connect for only working electrode, and some wires are designated are must be connected to the reference electrode. Some wires should be or must be connected to the counter electrode, like that. So we need to know the exact connections of the instrument. In order to collect a simple CV, one must know how to connect the electrodes in the appropriate manner. And after connecting the leads of potentiostat to the particular electrodes, we need to measure the open circuit potential or open circuit voltage of the electrode. Measure and compensate the solution resistance and inform the potentiostat of the parameters needed to perform the desired experiment. So after connections, we need to measure open circuit voltage and we need to compensate the solution resistance. So there are some basic parameters that we need to do before start the experiment to get the information about CV. The directions for completing the mentioned tasks should be contained within the, so these all the information can be available with the manual that are provided by the instrument suppliers. So the important thing is we need to know about the potentiostat and the particular software which we are going to use in that instrument to obtain the information of cyclic voltmeter. Coming to the electrochemical cell, electrochemical cell is very important and essential to contain the electrolyte and electrodes in a particular manner. So this container is very essential where the experiment takes place, that is called the cell. The cell can be any container, but it is commonly made of glass. Cells can come in many shapes and with many accessories. Common shapes are commercially available, but they can also be made to custom specifications by a scientific glass maker. Most cyclic voltammetries can be collected in simple cells that have a single compartment to hold the electrolyte solution and electrodes. Most importantly, the cell should be very clean before doing the experiment, that is any electrochemical study like EAS CV. We should take special care should be to remove any alkali or halide salts, water, organic molecules from cleaning solvents like ethanol, acetone, and also there might be chance to have trace transition metals from the surface of the cell. So we need to be cautious that the cell is clean or not. So better we need to clean the cell with aqua resin. That means it is a mixed solution of nitric acid and hydrochloric acid. We need to take 3:7 mixing concentration. 3 means HCl, 7 times nitric acid. So if you wash with this aqua resin, the cell will be cleaned to use further electrochemical study. Controlling the composition of the head space above the analyte solution is useful if you want to remove oxygen, as it can react with certain analytes or get reduced itself, or to introduce gas like hydrogen, carbon dioxide, like that. So we need to make sure that after inserting electrolyte, the cell should have some space to remove the gas if you want. Also, one can saturate the analyte solution with a gas of choice, spurging the solution with the gas. If the cyclic voltammetry is being collected in a volatile solvent, the gas should be pre-saturated with the solvent before it enters the cell to ensure that the volume does not change during the course of experiment, which can be accomplished with a gas spurger. In order to ensure that analyte solution remains saturated, it is important to cover it with a layer of the gas. This can be accomplished by placing some kind of covering over the top of the cell and inserting a tube or needle so that a positive pressure of the gas is always maintained. Commercially available cells are available with tight fitting Teflon tops. If a strong gas stream is too close to the surface of the solution and disturb it in any way, so strange features will be observed in the CV, so that we will get incorrect data of CV from the potentiostat. So in order to get the proper and accurate cyclic voltammetry, the cell should be still, or the solution should be still, and any gas streams introduced into the cell should be as far away from the solution as possible. Coming to the solvent that we are considered in electrochemical study or the cyclic voltammetry, the solvent is very important. The solvent is a common but avoidable source of contamination, as methods of solvent purification are well known. And for this purpose, we will use deionized water to make electrolyte for aqueous electrochemistry, because the tap water contains trace metal ions. Basically, for this purpose, we need to use the pure water, that means deionized water, to remove the contaminations. For non-aqueous electrochemistry, small amounts of water contamination can usually be accommodated, but one should make an effort to minimize water content, as it is fairly easy to obtain water concentrations below 5 ppm. As electron transfer occurs during cyclic voltammetry experiment, electrical neutrality is maintained via migration of ions in solution. As electrons transfer from the electrode to the analyte, ions move in solution to compensate the charge and close the electrical circuit. A salt called a supporting electrolyte is dissolved in the solvent to help to decrease the solution resistance. The mixture of the solvent and supporting electrolyte is commonly termed as electrolyte solution. So what are the properties or what are the characteristics for a good solvent? It is a liquid at experimental temperatures and it dissolves the analyte and high concentrations of the supporting electrolyte completely. And the next thing is it should be stable toward oxidation and reduction in the potential range of the experiment. It does not lead to deleterious reactions with the analyte or supporting electrolyte. It can be purified. So these are all the properties that a good solvent should have to use in our experiment. It should be stable at different kinds of temperatures and it should not be deteriorate, and it should be stable towards the oxidation and reduction processes, and the potential window of stability is important, but these factors depends on many parameters. So how can we select the electroactive window? How can we decide the potential window? Actually, the electrolyte, solvent and nature of the working electrode all influence the potential window that can be used for a cyclic voltammetry experiment. Coming to the section of the electrodes, we actually use three electrode system. Out of these three electrodes, one is counter electrode, working electrode, and the last one is reference electrode. So in the figure you can see three electrodes: counter electrode, working electrode, reference electrode. In most cyclic voltammetry experiments, there are three electrodes. Understanding the role of each electrode is very important in correct preparation of the experiment. The electrodes can be thought about in the context of a simple circuit with resistors and capacitors. So we should treat it like a circuit and make sure that no two electrodes touch with each other. So if they touch each other, it will lead to a short circuit. So it is important to place the electrodes in the cell that should separate from each other with certain distance. While the current flows between the working and counter electrodes, the reference electrode is used to accurately measure the applied potential relative to a stable reference reaction. So simply from the electrode's point of view, in the cyclic voltammetry, the setup is a typical for common electrochemical experiments including cyclic voltammetry, and the three electrodes represent a working electrode, counter electrode and reference electrode. The working electrode is very important in our experiments. The working electrode is where the action happens. The current that passes to or from this electrode is what is recorded by the potentiostat. For simple cyclic voltammograms, it is helpful to know the area of the electrode, that means area of the working electrode. And these working electrodes can come in a variety of shapes, but it is usually a flat surface. In order to make sure that the geometric area of the electrode is close to the true surface area, and this working electrode, the surface should be polished, so there are no sharp edges. If we polish, it will be very good to do the experiment. What happens when we polish the surface? Polishing also ensures that there are no undesired species on the electrode surface that may inhibit electron transfer to or from the electrode. Exposing a polished electrode to the atmosphere for a few hours, then the electrode is good enough to do the experiment. Even during the course of an experiment, it is clear to know when the surface of the electrode is changing and affecting the CV. It is important to always check whether CVs are reproducible by collecting the same CV with the same parameters twice or thrice. If the cyclic voltammetry graph or if the CVs are identical, then we can decide that the working electrode is good. But if there is some difference between the obtained CVs in the currents, then there might be some decomposition that is coating or altering the electrode surface. The working electrode carries out the electrochemical action. A potentiostat is used to control the applied potential of the working electrode as a function of the reference electrode potential. The most important aspect of the working electrode is that it is composed of redox inert material in the potential range of interest. The type of working electrode can be varied from experiment to experiment to provide different potential windows. As I told you earlier, the electrochemical action at working electrode surface, it is imperative that the electrode surface should be extremely clean and its surface area should be well defined. Different electrode materials can also lead to varying electrochemical responses, such as when electron transfer kinetics differ substantially between electrode types, when absorption occurs strongly on only certain electrode materials. As such, changing the electrode material is a good step to diagnose the material. The counter electrode has the simple requirement for transferring electrons between the counter electrode and the solution. The current that is measured by the potentiostat is actually the current that flows from the working electrode to the counter electrode, and working electrode, solution, and counter electrode system, so that we can see the complete circuit. So usually when we apply or when we change the electrode potential, the electrons will flow from working electrode to solution and solution to counter electrode, so that the circuit will complete. The counter electrode has to be able to transfer electrons quickly in order to prevent any inhibition of the electron transfer at the working electrode. For every electron that is transferred from the working electrode to the solution, an electron needs to be taken from a molecule in solution by the counter electrode, so that charge will be balanced in the solution. That means when an electron received by the solution from working electrode, that should be given to the counter electrode, so that the charge will be balanced in the solution. Because of the necessity for fast electron transfer at the counter electrode, it is commonly some form or platinum metal. Usually we used platinum mesh or wire. While a platinum wire is more than adequate for most CVs, but for some experiments where a lot of current is expected to flow from the working electrode to or from the solution, they'll use mesh because it has high surface area, such as platinum gauge or a metal foam, that should be used to ensure that the appropriate amount of charge is passed by the counter electrode. The third electrode is the reference electrode. The reference electrode is also connected to the working electrode through the potentiostat, but the potentiostat limits the amount of current that can pass between the two electrodes nearly zero. As its name suggests, the reference electrode is the electrode to which the potential of working electrode is referenced. Some reference electrodes consist of redox systems for which the absolute potential is known, but the only real requirement of a reference electrode is that its potential remains constant for the duration of the experiment. Usually in our laboratories or any industrial purposes, the common reference electrodes are AgCl, where Ag wire is existed in a solution of 10 millimolar of Ag plus. When it is theoretically possible to use Ag wire dipped directly into the analyte solution as a reference electrode, for the simplest of CVs, it should be avoided because the slow loss of Ag plus ions may interact with the analyte, and any changes in the electrolyte solution may change the reference potential measured at the AG wire. For the best practice is to isolate the reference electrode from the analyte solution using Wyckoff frit. It's a porous glass which it will be existed at the bottom of the reference electrode. It maintains the electrical contact while minimizing solution mixing. So this is a very important part of the reference electrode, Wyckoff frit. You can see here in the figure at the bottom of the second image, which will be highlighted in some light yellow. We should take more care about the prevention of Wyckoff frit from drying out, which causes the electrolyte salt to crystallize in the pores and render it unusable. Before doing the test, we need to check the Wyckoff frit can be tested by attempting a squeeze liquid through it using a pipette bulb. If fluid filters through easily, it should be replaced. Commercially available aqueous AgCl reference electrodes should be stored in the dark and submerged in solutions that are identical to the solution inside the reference electrode. Usually we used potassium chloride. The old AgCl electrodes can develop a white buildup on the wire and may drift away from their reference potential. It is best to use a reference compartment solution that contains the same solvent as the electrolyte salt. For non-aqueous electrochemical experiments, a reference electrode can be made easily from commercially available glass reference electrode. One should be cautious of making Ag plus solutions in DMF. As we mentioned earlier, polishing of electrode is very essential. Here we have two methods of polishing electrode. One is mechanical polishing and the other one is electrochemical polishing. A well polished working electrode is absolutely essential for collecting reliable data from cyclic voltammeters. Working electrodes should be polished immediately before use because even a few hours exposure to air will degrade the quality of the electrode surface to inhibit electron transfer, resulting in strange features on the cyclic voltammetry. Coming to the mechanical polishing, as we were previously mentioned, the working electrode must be polished to ensure that there are no surface contaminants that might interfere with electron transfer. One common way of polishing the working electrode is usually a commercially available polishing pad and alumina, Al2O3. The alumina is mixed with water on the polishing pad in order to make a paste. The working electrode is then rubbed on the polishing pad with some alumina paste while ensuring that the face of the working electrode is flat and polishing is performed so that grooves do not develop in the electrode surface. After polishing for about 30 seconds, the electrode should be sonicated in deionized water for just 1 minute. So what will happen in the sonication is sonication removes any alumina that may have adsorbed on the electrode surface. After washing with more deionized water, the electrode can be used in aqueous electrochemistry. That means we can use it in CV. If the electrode is to be used for non-aqueous electrochemistry, trace water from the sonication bath can be removed with methanol, and methanol can be removed with a blast from air. So in this way we can polish the working electrode by using mechanical polishing. In this mechanical polishing we are using alumina paste to polish the working electrode surface. After immediately rubbed with alumina paste, the working electrode should be sonicated to remove any excess alumina adsorbents on the working electrode. The second method of polishing the electrode is electrochemical polishing. Mechanical polishing is not suitable for all the working electrodes. Some metal meshes, gauges, and foams and rods can be polished by cycling the potential so that the potential window extends just beyond both sides of the solvent window. The same technique can be used to clean carbon electrodes. But sweeping to extreme positive potentials in the presence of water may result in oxidation. So the electrode surface should be useful to use the CV. So these are the two approaches to polish the working electrode before use. In this class, we discussed about the testing of cyclic voltammetry and how to set up the cell, and we understood the importance of potentiostat and electrochemical cell and the importance of the three electrodes, that is working electrode, counter electrode, and reference electrode. And also we discussed about the polishing of the working electrode. In our next class we will discuss about the remaining things, that about the setup of cyclic voltammetry and what are the parameters that we should take care of before doing the experiment, and what are the important parameters that we need to look to do the experiments, that is different scan rates, how to decide potential window. So we will discuss some important parameters to complete data acquisition and analysis of cyclic voltammetry. We have different CV graphs. Usually in our present class we see about just only one duck shaped CVs, but there are different kinds of CVs. So what are the meanings and at what conditions we will observe these kind of CV patterns, and which pattern gives what kind of information, we need to discuss in our upcoming classes. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can contact me through my mail. So this is 10th week lecture of energy conversion engineering. Thank you.